What's up, guys? Jesse Kroetch here, part of the Tactical family. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Got another one for you today up in the Pacific Northwest. It's time to do a little springtime bass fishing. So a lot of times up here in the Northwest, we lag behind as far as the rest of the country goes in water temperatures rising, kind of that spring transition, things like that. I wrapped up my steelhead season about a month and a half ago and got the opportunity to spend some time in the South, both guiding and fishing a little bit. And things down there, you know, it's early April here now, and things down there were already, you know, full-fledged spawn or already post-spawn on a lot of spots. And seeing water temperature down there that we don't typically see until about May. So today, I wanted to get out and do some early spring bass fishing. This should be full-fledged pre-spawn, but I picked a lake in the middle of nowhere, and we've got a lot of these up in the Northwest. A lot of these little tiny lakes that tend to warm up faster than the rest of our lakes. And so I've actually never even been here where we're at today, so we're gonna try to kind of break this apart. But typically, these smaller lakes tend to warm up a little bit quicker than the rest. So I'm going to try to focus on things like chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, some of that reaction type of bite that's super fun in the spring. So I don't expect to catch a bunch of big ones. I could be surprised because you never know with some of these little lakes that you find up here. But let's get after it and see what we find. Way shallow. To start, so up a lot tighter than I thought they'd be. So that was in like 6 inches of water. So keep firing up there, see what we find. Does not want to come out of that. There we go. So I'm firing up into this really shallow stuff, and to keep it out of the grass and kind of keep it moving, you'll notice I'm kind of popping my rod a little bit, and both of those bites back to back come right after a little pop there. So don't be afraid when you're in this stuff just to kind of, you know, pop that rod, give it a couple of hard cranks just to keep it up and going. Sometimes that change of movement will make them kind of forcibly bite it. So yeah, little tip for you. Got him. That was awesome. That was on that little Karashi. It's in here. I don't even know what I'm in. I don't have my graphs on, so 2 feet of water or so, 2.5 feet. And this is ideal for, you know, fish like this. Real shallow, and making these really kind of smaller fish a lot more fun. Big ones bite it too, but, you know, fish for that size in here on these tiny little lakes, sometimes that's what you get. A lot of these lakes kind of go through cycles, I've noticed. I grew up fishing on a lake real similar to this, and my brother and I used to fish it from a paddle boat, And you'd catch fish like that quite often on it. So BFS setup and little baits like Karashis and stuff like that make this a ton of fun going after these ones. This is too much fun. There you go. That little guy. It's on that Megabass Karashi. That little guy right there. I know Matt and Tim are fanatical about it, but there's probably not many guys in the Northwest that are throwing this. And for little lakes like this, especially these shallow little lakes, I guarantee almost none of them have seen this little guy here. And it is about as much fun as you can have doing this type of fishing. You know, we're in 2 feet of water here, and I've watched every one of those come up and clobber it out there because it's gin clear. You can see clear everything out all the way to where you cast. So you sit and you watch the whole thing twitch, and you watch them come up and just annihilate this thing. So if you haven't got any of these, get your hands on some. And if you got these little lakes like this, get out and have a ball with BFS setups and go catch a bunch of them. Oh, got him. He might be small, but he's mighty. Trying to poke me. I'm in about as shallow as water as my boat can go. I think I might almost be scraping bottom here. And these fish are all the way up in some of these reeds. And obviously they're not big, but surprisingly shallow for how you know, big these fish are. Even for those little guys, they're probably sitting in 4 or 5 inches of water, if that. So, and throwing this Karashi up there, and it's crazy how they just can't stand but watch that thing come by and smash it. It's pretty cool. The red lips, how cold those fish are. With these smaller lakes, they warm up so fast that I think it's kind of a shock to these fish. They jet right up, get a couple of nice days, and they come up in shallow like this. And so now, I mean, one thing with the Northwest is not all of our lakes warm up at the same time. You know, I picked this small lake kind of on purpose today. You know, my home lake and a lot of larger lakes that we have up here take a long time to get warmed up. And so those reactionary fish, ones that want to chase a chatterbait or a, you know, spinnerbait, stuff like that, you know, it takes a bit longer to get there. And so today I kind of wanted to get out and I wanted to catch them on reactionary stuff. And the cool thing about the Northwest is that you've got all these options. You've got all these little lakes that you can go to early like this and go, you know, fish the way that you want to fish and catch a bunch of them. And then as the other lakes warm up, you can kind of transition over to those ones as it gets a little bit later in the season. I'm pretty sure you can catch every fish in the lake doing this. Jeez, he wanted that one. Oh. So that's the trouble. They get down in the weeds and they freaking pull off. That's all right, though. Fun problem to have. Get up here. I'm gonna giggle all day at this. They're not even. Jeez. Down the pipe. So I'm throwing this on an X-Bride BFS with a Corrado BFS reel. But even if you don't have a BFS setup, you can throw this on a spinning rod as well. It's just a little harder. It's not as, you know, it's a little more work to get it to twitch properly. But, you know, for stuff like this, I mean, this is about as much fun as you can have. You know, bringing these, you know, out and letting the kids go to town on fish like this would really be something kind of cool. You know I mentioned earlier that I grew up fishing out of a little paddle boat. My brother and I used to spend time on a lake like this, and even though these may be, you know, not the biggest fish in the world, things like that can really drive someone, you know, a kid down the right road of, you know, getting into fishing instead of the wrong things, and you know, becoming a passionate bass angler. So pick up a couple of these, take your kids fishing. It's a ton of fun. Another one on the Chatterbait. I'm going to move out a little bit deeper here. There's a start of these lily pads. It's coming up here. I can kind of see the end of them, and at the end of them I'm seeing a bunch of swirls out there with fish. So this lake really has no defining features or really any change in the bank. It's all just kind of the same all the way around it. And so I'm going to work out to this outer edge of this weed line and see if maybe there's a little bit bigger fish out there to be caught. You got it. Go Karashi. Long and skinny on this one. Barely hooked. Little guys. Oh, that's a big perch. Yeah, not a giant, but still. Everything wants the Karashi. Quite literally everything. Big old perch. Whoop. There he goes. They just, that twitch of the Karashi, they just can't stand it. No matter what the fish is, they just have to chase it down. It's pretty neat. Fun to sit and be able to watch it, you know, in real time. Sit and watch it out there dancing, and then watch those fish just running in behind it, trying to get it every which way they can. Catches pretty much everything. Look at that. We've got what, a crappie, perch, bass. What can you say? It just works. So the beauty of a lot of these small lakes is that you can fish through them fairly quickly. You know, we did pretty well on the Karashi and stuff on this one, but really not much for, you know, big fish. A lot of them really small ones. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put her back on the trailer and buzz down the road to another little lake like this. A lot different than this one. I have fished the other one before. I've never fished this one, of course, but the other one is a lot of flooded brush, stuff like that. So we're gonna put a jig in our hand and flip some bushes and see what we can find. Maybe even find some on a frog or something like that. So a little early, but you never know. Float off. I had to push off of the push it off my trailer. Does that make sense? So, but all right, I gotta go. Yeah, I got one. All right, bye. Gotta love the phone bite, huh? Jeez. A little better? More what we're looking for. That was just on a, ooh, we have that. 1/2 ounce Arky style jig with beaver tail trailer, just pitching up into these bushes. Yeah, nice fish. So, like I say, these small lakes are really fun because they're so diverse. There's so many of them around and they all fish kind of different, but they all tend to warm up a little bit sooner than the rest. So you can get in and flip bushes and you know, skip Cincos up underneath, stuff like that, throw chatterbait, spinner baits, whereas a lot of other lakes around here you're having to do the cold water struggle bust still. So kind of fun to be able to jump into some of these and get fish like that on a jig really early like this and have a ton of fun. That thing didn't even freaking fall. That's a nice fish. It's pretty unique when we have a lake like this one. There's a few of them around, but not many where you have flooded bushes like this. What this one was originally an old farm field that got flooded years ago and stocked with bass and crappie and all that stuff. And as you can see by the background here, it is a maze of cover for them. So it's a really fun one if you want to just show up. Some of these lakes, you know, you can just go do what you want to do. And, you know, this is a fun one just to put a jig in your hand and go through and pick all this apart. And like that one, didn't even fall 2 feet before we had it. So pretty fun stuff. right where he should be. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap things up here. Today was all about trying to find some warm water in some of these smaller lakes here that we have throughout the Northwest. I think we were successful in doing that. You got to see me geek out on throwing that Karashi a bunch today. It's a ton of fun. If you haven't done it already, you should, pick up a BFS setup or a few of those, and it's a blast. But the goal was really to get things that wanted to chase today. So any type of reaction bait. Today I chose to go with the Chatterbait. That Karashi, flipping a jig in bushes like this behind me. But it was a ton of fun. And in the early spring like this, you can usually find a shallower lake and get ahead of the curve for the rest of our lakes out here, our main bodies of water, and get a little bit of a tune-up after the winter, get your boat working the way you need to, and have a ton of fun doing it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one today. A little bit different, I think, than what I had planned, but it was still fun to put this one together. The baits and the rods and everything we used today will be linked below. And hit that like, subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.